Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is material, which is really exciting and powerful. So there's a lot of cool stuff to cover. So to start off, we have this scene here. It's very similar to what we've been looking at, and it's all has a white matte AI standard surface. So the first thing we're going to do is play with color, and then we'll play with other parameters of the AI standard surface material. So we're going to be using the Hypershade. Let me open that up. And I'm also going to just give us a little room to work here. We don't need the time slider, the range slider, the command line, the shelf, status line, sure. And then in the Hypershade, I'm gonna get rid of the property editor. And if there's any bins, I'm just gonna have it like this. Materials on the top, workspace on the bottom. And then I will nest it, let's say right over here. And then I can turn the outliner on and off. I can turn the attribute editor on and off. So let's see here. Let's turn off the outliner for a second. And we'll turn our render back on so we can see what we're doing. All right. So we have our matte white. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to create a new standard surface. You know, as I've been saying, there's so many different places to get things and create things, and I'm trying to show you kind of the most efficient and quickest way to do it. The best way to create nodes in the Hypershade and in a lot of other places is just to hit tab. All right? And then you start typing what you're looking for, standard surface, right at the top there, and there it is. Right? And if I want to get it in the work area, I just middle mouse drag it over there. There we go. So I dragged it over, I couldn't find it, so I just hit F and it framed it up for us. All right, so let's see what we got. I'm going to open the attribute editor for a second. And to get where we were, it's just a white base. So to change the color, you can just go into the color option and, you know, change it to whatever you like in here, right? And what should happen? Oh, actually, you know what? Let's do one other thing. So what could be handy is if you're you know, there's so many different ways to select things. So one that's useful when you're playing with material is you can select by material. So I know right now that everything has this white matte material. So if I say select objects with material, it's going to grab everything with that material. And then if I right click assign material to selection, it's now this new material, which we'll call this color. And we'll just blue. Standard surface. All right. And as I was saying, now that it's assigned, when we change things over here, it should show up over there. So let's just make it nice blue. All right. So that's cool. It didn't grab the curves because if we remember, the curves, the materials are assigned through the through this curve collector. So if I want everything to have all my curves to have this blue, I just middle mouse, drop it on there. All right. And I mean, that already looks pretty cool. Oh my gosh, there's so much cool stuff to talk about. All right, so right now I added it right to the color, but a smarter and more powerful way to work is to start to create chains of nodes. So like when I'm working with color, I'm thinking about it as a designer, and I'm thinking about that there's going to be some kind of palette. That palette will have a limited number of colors. That palette will have some kind of harmony or meaning holding it together. So instead of just plugging it into color, I want to be able to store it somewhere. So a good place to do that is in a ramp. So I'm just going to hit tab, and I already have some from my little exploration here. Ramp. And we're going to do ramp texture. We'll talk about this other stuff some other day. All right. And it makes a placement node and a ramp. And we don't need this in this instance. So now what I can do is I can either middle mouse drag it on color, or any of these things for that matter, but we're just looking at base color for now. And basically now it's mapping this ramp, this texture basically, over the geometry based on the UVs. And that already looks pretty neat. If we want to be able to see what we're doing while we're working, I'm going to change this from vertical to horizontal. And then I'll just zoom in a little bit. Now, we're going to talk about all this stuff at some point, but for now, it's just color, just swatches of color. So to turn this from a ramp into a swatch, I just delete any other gradation, any other color in there. And look, it's saved our nice blue from before, and now we have our blue. And now that we have this blue, we can reuse it in other shaders. We can plug it into other parameters of the material. We can give it a name, right? This blue. And I like to also put little flags at the end just so I know what it is, if I didn't have any other way of seeing what this thing was. So for example, if I went like this, where I turn, if let's say I have a gazillion things in here and I don't want to go through all my shader balls, I can still kind of figure out what things are. That's a blue ramp, all right? All right, so that's the beginning.